Beautiful. I can't believe that. Welcome back to the FillGood podcast, everybody. It's season 2. We're doing it better. There's no gooder this year. And
hell yeah.
I'm happy to be back here. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm your Phil co-host, Byron Filler. With me, as always, is the beautiful and radiant,
the good co-host. I'm Mike Osgood, and we are so freaking happy to be back.
Yes.
And in color.
Goodness. Yes, and in color. So here's the new thing that is happening for season 2. We are also doing video. So if you'd like to see our beautiful faces, go to youtube.com. You find the FillGood podcast. You're going to find us. You will also find season 1 on there and all the other streaming stuff that we do with the FillGood games and FillGood Friday. We'll promote some more of that at the end of the episode. But today we are chatting with an awesome independent filmmaker. He started his own streaming platform, Kalani Hubbard. This was a really fun interview. He's just such a nice guy.
He's a nice guy who is driven, who is making some incredible content, movies, shows, everything like that, but through an independent lens. This is the kind of thing that we are missing in this world, and it's so incredibly great to hear him talk about these things, and we'll let him talk about it. But Byron, we've had a lot of stuff that's happened since season 1.
It's been a minute since the end of season 1 and the outtake episode all the way up to here. So we'll let you know where we're at, what's been going on.
We both have new backgrounds.
Yes, we do have new backgrounds. I was gonna say, do you want to start explaining your new background or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, fam, we both moved up to the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
We are living up here. I got a house.
Woo!
I moved out of San Francisco.
You are a
and I was
homeowner.
I'm a homeowner now. Look at me.
Hell yes.
Hell yeah. But no, we got a house up here, and we're soaking up all the rain. There's actually some sunshine right now, so we gotta wrap this up.
It's like the first time this week we're recording on the intro on a Friday, and it's like the first time all week that it's been like beautiful.
I see blue skies outside my window, which is crazy.
I'm loving it.
But yeah, no, we moved up here, and we took a little bit of a break from the podcast so that we can all kind of figure out our lives and figure out what's gonna make us set up for success. And for us, we saw that getting out of the big cities that we were both in and coming up here would just be beneficial for us. So yeah, we packed up, we moved the fuck out, and look at us now. So
exactly. I know I'm feeling so much better about it as well, just because it's so expensive to be Marissa and I were in LA, you and Alexia were in San Francisco. It's just becoming so impossible to live in those cities, especially when if you're not serving the industries that are there, then what are you doing? So it's
exactly. Yeah. We took advantage of an opportunity, and we all came up, and look at us now. We are glowing. I'm literally glowing from sunshine. I'm loving it. I mean, you're always glowing. Thank you.
You are, yes.
I blame the freckles, but no,
I don't. Every time. Why are you blaming freckles?
It's because I have them and I can. No.
Shut up, you beautiful freckled man.
I love freckles. I love
exactly.
them. Okay, they're beautiful.
I'm just making sure this is not negative. That's not what we're. This is not
it's possible skin cancer, but no, I love them. But Byron,
what's going on with me? What's good with me?
Yeah.
So we Marissa and I also moved up here a little earlier than you and Alexia. So she, fortunately, it was actually around our wedding like last year in April, where we were just trying to figure out like, what are we gonna do? And we have been wanting to move to Portland for so long, and we kind of just decided to just manifest it because we were all over the place, and I was like, fuck it. By September, we are going to move up to Portland. That, like, whether or not we have a job, I'm putting that out into the universe. And then, like, miraculously, she received a job with a wonderful company up here, and we got up here, and all of a sudden, like, freelancing started working out, and it's just been... I can't begin to describe how wonderful it is, especially since, like, we're basically in a forest in the like in a city, and so we go outside for our lunchtime walk, and we go to like the park is also a forest. Like, I'm so happy. All the food here is good too. Like, as
the food out here is ridiculous.
Oh my goodness, the food is so good. The food, and it's also just so creative as well. I feel like so many of the, like, shout out to all of the Portland food businesses, you and your creativity. I didn't know that I needed fried chicken and a waffle cone. I didn't know that.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that I needed like vegan donuts. Like, I didn't know that I would enjoy a vegan Jewish deli. Like, that's out here.
Here we go.
It's all out here. Here's the important thing. Because our cats are loving their life up here. It's not hot anymore. This is their best life. How's Rosie handling? That's the important thing. Forget us. How are our pets doing?
Important. Our pets are doing great. My dog is taking control of this house. This is her house, not mine. Yeah. And I'm actually kind of surprised that she is not like sniffing at my door right now, because she wants to go outside every 5 seconds. So, but no, she's loving it. She loves having a backyard that she can go and run around and do her thing. So that's pretty cool. And I'm excited that we have that available for her. And also that we're able to like go outside, walk her, and she doesn't have to worry about stepping on glass or like a hypodermic needle or anything like that.
Yeah.
Not that has happened in the past. She stepped on glass, but not a needle. But yes.
I mean, you know what? Of the two, glass is preferable.
Dude, out of all of it, I'd rather have none.
I know.
I would rather have none. And that's what's happened. So we moved up here. We're here and we're doing shit. So
exactly.
That's life. But part of the stuff that we have done is that we first interviewed Kalani Hubbard.
Yes.
And, you know, we're also doing this via video now. And we are excited to just show you guys a whole nother side of us and a whole nother side of all the guests that we're bringing to you this season.
Yes.
And also continue to make more video content that you can see on our YouTube channels and a bit of everywhere else. So make sure you make sure you subscribe, make sure you click the little bell button to learn when there's a new episode of the FillGood podcast.
Exactly.
Available for your viewing pleasure. Should we give the people what they want?
We should give the people what they want. Let's get into...
I'm trying to get through the jitters of this is like our first interview of the new year. So
man,
I'm so thankful for you. I'm so thankful for you.
Oh man,
so thank you, bud.
I am too.
All right.
So much pressure. New year.
No pressure. It's just everything. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, family, everybody in between, we are here today with the one, the only, the person with the best hair that makes Pantene Pro V commercials look bad.
You made me wait for a boom for that.
We got Kalani Hubbard. Kalani, welcome to the show, my
bud. Oh man, what an introduction! Oh my god.
I mean, okay, Byron, I gotta tell you something.
What?
Kalani has had the best hair since like decades. It's a thing.
I was gonna say that hair looks so amazing, but it does also look non-compostable. Like you.
No, it's beautiful. Before we start chatting and everything, I just need to know, what is your hair routine?
You know, it's It's not too crazy. I wash it every now and then. There you go.
What's your shampoo? What's your conditioner game? Do you do a salt scrub?
I don't use conditioner.
Really?
What?
Yeah, that's my secret. I just use shampoo, and it's like a random shampoo I found at like the Dwayne Reed by my house. So
I wonder
amazed.
if it's like because you're just like no frills, just doing less, that you're
maybe less is more. Maybe that it's a life lesson right there in my hair.
Yeah.
It's so good. But for everybody who doesn't know Kalani Hubbard, Kalani, would you do the honors of just kind of giving everybody a quick little introduction of yourself?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm Kalani. I'm a writer director, and I started a streaming service with my wife Stephanie called Pure Magic Pictures, and we make movies and shows. So that's what we do.
You do.
Oh, yes.
It's awesome, and I can't wait to chat more about it with you. But before we start talking about all the things that are good with Kalani Hubbard, we first have to talk about the bad in life. And with that, we're going into our moment of bad. This is where we like to think that we take 60 seconds just get something off your chest. We'll see how it goes. But let's get that stuff. Let's make it be gone. I'll start today. Is that okay?
I think you should.
Cool, because I got something to be gone.
Yes.
First and foremost, being a homeowner recently, buying a house in Washington, it's great. It's nice. I have space. I can do flips in my hallways and stuff. It's magical. But the one thing that I wish was not a thing was broken appliances. You get into a house and you get a new home, and then you get excited to cook things. And when I say I get excited to cook things, it's when Alexia gets excited to cook things. And I love eating her food, and then our oven breaks. It doesn't light. No. And now I got to spend like a couple $100 on that. And I'm like, man, of course. So I'm going to take this faulty technology. I'm going to take it. I'm going to put it in a ball, and I'm just going to make it be gone.
Be gone.
Byron,
Yes.
What's going on with you?
Oh, man. So I had gasoline spill on me the other day. So
that sounds dangerous.
No, living in the state of Oregon, you can't pump your own gas. It's Oregon and New Jersey, and the excuse is jobs. But it's an excuse. But that's a whole nother rant that I can go on another time. I come from California. I'm sorry. Let's move on. So my wife Marissa and I were headed over to Mike and Alexia's. We stop at our first time in, I think, 6 months pumping our own gas, because in the state of Washington, you can do that. So we stop at one of the pumps, and I get out of the car, I go to try to pump the gas, and I go through the motions, like paying, you put the pump in, you press on the lever, and then nothing happens. And I'm sitting there like, okay, well, this is new. I've never had that happen to me before at a working pump. I can't remember the last time I've been to a broken pump, but I didn't know this was a broken pump, because I start pulling the pump out of the car to try to figure out what is going on, and the other side of the hose falls on top of me, and all the gas is stuck in there, just drenches me, and I'm as Marissa described it, I was punching things.
Byron doesn't come across as an amateur boxer.
No,
but I can imagine it.
No, I don't I don't usually get angry, but that was just that was my limit. So we're gonna be gone.
Back to faulty gas pumps.
Yes,
back to Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah. We're gonna begone faulty gas pumps. Faulty gas pumps. I do not need to be spilled on again.
And with that, Kalani, welcome to therapy. Is there anything you need to get off your chest?
This is great, actually. Yeah. Man, so nothing as awesome as a gas pump, but
it's okay.
It's a tough act to follow.
It's a tough act,
I seriously hope that it is not that bad.
I'm kind of glad that I didn't get sprayed with gas in the last couple weeks. No, so yesterday, me and my wife went and we saw West Side Story finally, and it was beautiful.
Nice.
I saw it in theaters. Steven Spielberg, of course, amazing, immaculate, everything's great. But I can't help but to like the ending, man. I'm just so sad every time, and it makes me so sad. And I'm like, oh, we could have changed this ending to something a little happier. But I get it; it's a classic, so you can't mess with the classic. But it's still even in the original. I wish we could change the ending, but here we are. I'll make my own movie instead.
Could you call it East Side Story?
Yes, please.
The East Side Story, yeah. Hey, I live on the East Side, so it works out.
Instead of like, what is it? It's the Jets and the Sharks.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll have it be the helicopters and the Dolphins, and it's just a battle of different baristas.
There you go.
Who has to make the best thing, and then a barista falls in love with another barista, and then it happens.
There you go. It does beat the last time I went to the movies. This is classic New York. I can't remember. I saw Free Guy in the movies. And when we were watching it, there was in classic like Union Square fashion, there was like a dying mouse like in the wall next to us. And so we're like under the chair. And so we were like watching it, and then like anytime it got quiet, you heard like a mouse squeaking. The whole time, the whole movie, it was just like slowly dying. It was horrible. So, that's New York. It's like the good with the bad. Like it would.
Wow.
Well, we're gonna take bad endings and dead mice, and we're gonna make that begone.
Yeah. So it's all part of it, I guess.
Talk about immersive experience.
Oh, it was so immersive. Yeah.
So, Kalani, let's chat about you, my bud. With all good superheroes and everything like that out in the world, they become who they are. But first, you have to know their origin story. And I want to know a little bit about you, Kalani. Could you fill us in on what made you become a streaming platform founder extraordinaire?
Yeah, it's just something I've always kind of been interested in. It's something I always did. I remember, as a kid, I would take my dad's like old video camera and make like stop action movies, which was always fun. And then I ended up making like short films and like stupid videos with my friends. I always had to like apologize for the videos I made afterwards because like I always did too many stunts, and like everybody was always mad about like the stunts that we did. They're like, that's unsafe. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm a kid. So
what was the wildest stunt that you did as a kid?
Well, when we were kids, we didn't really think too much about safety. Now, like we do productions and like everything's like super safe, and we have like people doing things, and it's all up to code.
You know what? It's boring when you're an adult.
You're an adult. You have insurance. You have all the stuff. It's all true. You do it all correctly. But as a kid, you don't really know any better. You're just running around. So I remember there was a time my friend was driving his pickup truck. We were like 16. He was driving his pickup truck, and then like I was like hanging out the back holding a camera trying to get like a really cool shot while my other friend was on top of another car driving down the road like on top. And so we were like, he's like on the top of the car like going down the road, and I'm like literally like hanging out of the back of a pickup truck holding a camera, and we're trying to do this like action sequence. We showed it to our school, and we had to do like a big old apology after the video. They're like, "That was amazing," and now you have to apologize for how unsafe your video was and tell people not to do that. So I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
I'm sorry for being creative. Jeez,
I'm realizing that
it was kind of a cool sequence, but
yeah,
that'd actually be a really funny like skit of some kind where it's just like DPs doing action scenes, but the action scenes are the DPs trying to get it right, and they're doing it in the most unsafe ways. So you get like certain like them like freaking out, and then you get the perspective from the camera is just this amazing just cinematic scene. And then you cut to the DP who's screaming like, "Pull me up."
Now I feel like I've gone the other way. Now I'm like extra safe. I'm like so paranoid of anybody ever getting injured. So we go extra safe on everything. And we had a lot of like fight scenes and stunts actually. And Plunder Quest was like my feature that just recently released, and that was so much fun. But that one was done like properly. Everything was all safe. We had breakaway glass, and my actor actually was like really having fun with it. He's like, it's made out of sugar, and so he's like eating it. And I'm like, dude, stop eating the props. But yeah, it was great.
I'm not gonna lie, watching Plunder Quest, like there were a couple of hits and slaps that were in there where I'm like, how close did they get?
Oh, the slaps were real. But that's a whole other story. We'll talk about that later.
Nice.
I was going to ask, could you tell us about Plunder Quest, what it is, what the story is, and why this was this was your first feature film, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you get here to this film?
Yeah. So Plunder Quest is an adventure story about a guy who's kind of like down on his luck and kind of does a one last hurrah to kind of turn his whole life around. And along the way, he finds love and crazy friends, and it's an adventure. So but it was. I always say it was such an adventure making the movie because you're kind of alone, like, writing, and you're like, oh, this is going to make a great film, and then you don't realize until you're actually on a sailboat in the middle of the ocean, and you're like, oh, I'm like on this adventure I wrote. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really think about that. You're like, oh, this story is going to be great, and like, all this stuff, and then you realize, oh, I have to live this out. Like, I have to go to this castle that I wrote about. Yeah. I have to go on the sailboat. I have to like I had to rent a snake. Have a snake on set. Like, what? This is random stuff. We had trained snakes and snake handlers. Yeah.
It sounds like my worst nightmare. Like, my biggest fear is snakes.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Yeah, I just, oh man. But one of the things I would love to also just kind of hear from you is just, what was the motivation? Why Plunder Quest for your first feature?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that for me, the thing that made me want to make movies to begin with is I always was drawn to like adventures. I think Goonies is probably one of my all-time favorite movies. And so, I was like, how can I make my version of the Goonies? I know, I'll make Plunder Quest. So that's kind of where it started. And then it became this like really cool newfound love for like all this crazy history, like, about the Prohibition and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But I did all this research. I was like, this is wild. There's so much that like I just kind of like didn't really think too much about. But man, this could make such a cool story. And then as I was looking into it, I found out that you can actually, if you luck out, you can actually find whiskey from, the 1920s. And if it was in good enough condition, it does sell for like an enormous amount of money. So like all of that is actually true. Yeah.
So what are we doing here? Yeah. Why aren't we looking for this now?
That's what I'm saying. I know.
That must have made it incredibly a lot easier and a lot less pressure to make something a little bit more grounded then. Because for as much as it is an adventure film, like, it's very much real. These are everything that happens throughout the course of the film are things that I believe that if I would handle that situation, I could be in this, like, this was not unreal.
Yeah, I think that was kind of my goal, is to make something a little more grounded, an adventure that you could find yourself on. Like, if you just so happen to be in this right place at the right time, and like, kind of the domino effect, if you started here and it just kind of kept going, I kind of wanted to make something that like you could see yourself actually being, So I'm glad. That's great.
I think one of the biggest things I loved about Plunder Quest was the score.
Yeah.
Did you do all the music and everything as well?
No. Okay, so I didn't do any of the music. That was not me. That was my composer. His name's Massimo Sammy, and the guy is like a genius. He's amazing. Like, yes, I'm like blown away. Like, every time he would send me a new cue for the music, it would be like Christmas morning for me. I'd be like, oh, this is so great, So, I mean, me and him would have all these long talks about, okay, what we want it to feel like and sound like, and we'd craft where the moments of the movie would go and how it might sound, and but he always like blew me away. It was crazy. The only thing that I wrote in the movie, I made 2 sea shanties. Those were fun. So there's a mermaid bar scene, and when you go in, those like sea shanties. Those were me.
That's
Nice.
amazing.
Yeah.
I thought that voice sounded
That's
familiar.
so
Oh, yeah.
cool. I was gonna say the score keeps bringing you back from, because there is a point at which a film like this could have just turned very dark, but the score always brings you back to that like joyous adventure, adventurous spirit.
Yeah, it was.
Very much so.
We really wanted it to have like that, like a theme song, and like you don't really hear. That's like totally something that would happen in like 80s and 90s, of course. And so that's like all of my movie inspirations come from like 80s and 90s movies. And so I was like, this movie has to have a theme song. Like we can't make an adventure movie without a theme song. And so it was great. My composer came up with like the theme, and so we were able to kind of use that throughout the movie. And I think it really made it feel like its own little like world. It was really cool. So I'm like so grateful. My composer, Massimo. Shout out to Massimo. He's legit. Massimo
Let's
Sammy.
go, Massimo!
Let's go, Massimo. Yeah, he's great, man. He's so cool.
Also, guys, speaking of like the anatomy of your own world, something that I personally love about action movies, and something that I always try to take particular microscope to, is the anatomy of a good chase scene. And especially in trying to keep true to like the geographic location.
Oh my God, yeah.
What was the thought process with making these dramatic chase scenes in Plunder Quest?
Yeah, that is such a good question. It was always hard because as an indie film, you never have as much footage as you wish you had. And
of course.
So you get all the footage on set, you're good, but you always wish you had more. And so so working within those constraints is always tough. But the believability, I always hate it when I'm like, that doesn't make sense in a movie, So I literally was like, okay, so if they drove away now, they would get about this far away from them before they'd be out of the line of sight. Okay, if they turn the corner here, so like I was like playing it all out, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so they'd be about that far by the time they stop, and then they would have about this much time to talk before they show up again. So like all of that, I definitely was like, we were playing with in the edit, trying to be like, okay, yeah, that feels about right. So,
and also speaking of believability, I want to know, what was your inspiration for making these super incredibly endurance-based super nerds being able to keep in a pursuit of a guy on a moped? Like, I wish I had that endurance.
Oh man, those dudes
that
made me
whole
laugh.
That part made me laugh so much.
Oh,
It was
great.
so good.
That's great. Yeah, Marcus and his goons, man. He's great. He makes me laugh. Yeah, having those nerds in the fight scene and the chase scene, they were just so funny, man. They were great. But they were such good friends. Like, actually, when you watch it, it kind of makes me laugh. If you watch it kind of from like the nerd's perspective, it's actually really funny. He has such like attentive friends that will go to they'll get beat up, they'll like chase after this guy. They have no dog in this fight at all.
I really want to see this scene that was cut of them just being like counseling him in pure out. How dare he give you a fake cut, like first edition, and make you pay $200? No, we are going. Man. Where does he get coffee?
Yeah, where does it? We will talk some sense into him.
Yeah.
Yes. So
funny.
One of the things that I keep saying, one of these things, I need to find a new line.
It's
we'll
okay.
get you a catchphrase.
I was gonna say you need a catchphrase, but this can be it. One of these things.
That'll be your catchphrase. We'll get it on like a mug. It'll be like it'll have your face, and it'll say one of those things.
One of those things. You can ask my fiance. You can ask like my coworkers or anything like that. Do you guys have those stupid sayings that you say all the time? Like, one of mine is so on and so forth. I say it all the time when I just keep going and delivering a variety of things, so on and so forth.
I feel like that's such a dad thing to say. like so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's
A disappointed father would say so on and so forth.
A disappointed father who doesn't have to explain himself.
Yeah, so on and so forth. Yeah. Go outside. Go play with your friends.
Yeah.
Stop playing video games.
Yeah.
So kind of going with that, like you're making these stories that you've always wanted to see. What inspired you to start your own production company, start your own streaming service at that, when you're in a world that's dominated by the Netflixes, by the Amazons, by like whoever the corporate overlords are that we hope one day buy our podcast. What made you inspired to go off and do this?
It was just something that I've always wanted to do. I've always we actually started doing like client work and corporate work back in the day, and so we just got really good at making stuff really like, you know, high quality, because I was working on commercials for like Campbell's Soup, you know, like I did visual effects for a Redbox commercial. And so it was like one of these things where we're like, okay, we know that the quality that we create is good enough for all these like multi-billion-dollar brands, you know, and we've always wanted to tell stories. And so we're going to transition into telling these stories and kind of chasing after the highest desire of our heart, which was to make movies and make shows. And so we just decided to make that switch. And naturally, we were saying, okay, well, if we're going to have like a collection of movies and a collection of shows that all kind of come from the same place, it's coming from, you know, me and my wife, and we're creating stuff that has like a certain identity to it, and a fingerprint, you know, it should kind of like live somewhere. And so we were just trying to figure out like where that might be. And we decided that creating one place for it all and creating like an app that you can use and stream would make the most sense. And so that's kind of where we started from. And so we developed an app, and now it's like on Roku and Apple TV and all those places. And now you can watch our movies and shows wherever. So that was kind of the idea behind it. But, you know, we never really we don't like want to compete with Netflix or Amazon. I feel like they're doing their own thing, and that's cool. But what we have is just, we kind of look at it almost like an indie band or something, where it's like you have a band that people enjoy, and they keep coming back to listen to their music, and maybe they'll, you know, go see them at a show. And so they have this fan base that's strong, but it's like, that doesn't mean that like Taylor Swift can go do her thing and she can have as many fans as she wants. And the indie band is doing just fine and really serving their audience, you know what I mean? And so I think that it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a cool thing that you can do that. So
long live the indie band.
Long live. I used to play in indie bands, so it all makes sense to me.
So you're going and you're making all this stuff. You're making the things that you want to put out in the world. I want to know what's the challenge of doing that? Like, when we live in this commercial society that's really driven by, especially coming from a production background of doing things for others, and now you're doing this for you. What are the things that are keeping you up at night, and how are you sort of combating that?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is just the volume, you know, like the amount of stuff that we have to create. You know, we have every aspect down, and we have like great workflows, and everything just goes super smooth. But at the end of the day, it's like we only have like just a handful of directors, and so that's kind of like that's where the funnel is. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's the bottleneck, is that, you know, we only have so many directors. But, you know, it's I'm just so grateful, you know. It's just like any problem we run into, I take it with a smile. It's kind of like a good problem to have, you know. I'm grateful to be up at night writing scripts, and so that's kind of where I'm at. You know, basically, I just always work. That's what I'm doing these days. But, you know, it's all part of it. You know, when you're starting something new and you really want to keep the quality high and keep turning out a lot of stuff. It just requires a lot of work. So after this, I'm going to be writing a script for Good Magical Morning, which we're shooting tomorrow. So I'll be working on that. The script's almost done, just finishing it up.
Nice.
Yeah, there's always something to make, which is an exciting thing, but it's a behemoth of a task.
Yes.
So yeah,
Mike was mentioning making Pure Magic Pictures. That was a deliberate choice. You didn't go to anyone else for distribution. You guys are really like striking out on your own, especially during a time where, although you could have gone to, you know, Hulu, Netflix, any of those places, it is perfectly feasible to be able to do this. Why was it important for you and Stephanie to create this and create a home for your movies and your shows?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, as a director, if you wait for the distributor, you're waiting a long time, and so, you know, we kind of know the rodeo. It usually takes a solid, like, you know, year, maybe two, to actually like get it like sold and through the distribution and like all that jazz. So really now you're making a movie every, like, you're making one movie every like 2 or 3 years, and, you know, sometimes longer depending. And so it just didn't seem like the route we wanted to take. It seemed kind of like we wanted all of the things that we created to really be like loved and taken care of as well. And we all know from just Netflix and Amazon and all the other places, they just kind of throw everything on there. It's free for all, and it gets buried, and then and there you go. And they don't really, they just dump as much as they can on there. Whereas we take the opposite approach. We have a very limited selection, but everything's like curated for the exact same audience, you know? And so there's this really cool thing where if you go on our platform, if you like one thing, you're going to probably like everything on there. If you don't like one thing, you're not going to like any of it. You know, that's fine. We don't make horror movies, you know? So if you love horror movies, don't go to Pure Magic Pictures, because it's just not what we do, you know? But what Netflix does is they have the horror movies and the, you know, the action adventures and the everything, you know, everything. And so basically they just dump as much as they can on there. And so if we were to get distribution through there or Hulu or whatever, they just don't get treated very well, and then it's really hard to replicate. It takes forever. So we're like, it just seemed like too many reasons for us not to go that route, you know. We're artists who really care, and so we're like, let's take good care of the things that we create. Let's put extra heart into it, and then we get to keep building on that and build like our own list of titles that people can enjoy. And yeah.
Well, if you go that route, obviously it gets lost in the mix, because there's so much going on to those platforms. And I think, like, at least from the way, as a viewer, the way that I'm looking at it is like Hulu, Netflix, HBO, they're wising up and realizing like their competitor isn't just you. It's every person posting stuff on YouTube, every person posting stuff on even TikTok, Twitch, wherever you're a creator and you're posting stuff, because it's just so easy for you to get up and go. So I can imagine like it's a lot more exciting to just have that control, because the only person you're answering to is yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
That being said, make sure you please like and subscribe here to FillGood Podcast on YouTube, and follow us on Discord and all that kind of stuff. And because we have to plug that kind of stuff. Woo!
Yes.
I'm done. Kalani,
Do it. Follow them.
follow. Smash
them.
that button. Click that bell.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Things. But also talking about being curated, like having a whole content how that's curated with love. You made this with your wife.
Yes.
That's adorable. That's awesome. Like, what's it like working with your wife?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like our desks are next to each other at work, It's adorable.
It's really cute.
We literally, we sit next to each other at work. It's great, man. It's really great. She's such a great writer director, and it's just a really cool thing where it's like we know each other so well. So it's like it's just so natural for us. Like I'm writing and directing something, she's writing and directing something, and the platform definitely has like the same DNA because it's coming from us. And her movies are different than mine, and I feel like we're kind of like the yin and yang together. Like we create this really cool contrast of different things, but they all still truly do feel like they're coming from the same place. It's a very cool thing. She has a movie coming out. It's called Lily Darling, and it's a 2006 pop punk romance movie. It's amazing.
Yes,
a bunch of emo kids having fun. Yes. It's great. And so we've been editing that. That'll be coming out next month. We're kind of like better together and push each other forward. So yeah, I really enjoy it. It's fun. We sit next to each other.
I mean, beyond being adorable, I gotta ask, as I'm the one person in this chat room here that is not married yet, I gotta ask, what is that secret of working with your significant other and also living with them? Like that's a lot of
how do you compartmentalize that? Yeah.
It's a balance for sure. Trying not to talk about work when you're just like at home eating food or something, or you know what I mean, like trying to have like some sort of line between like work meeting and not work meeting. It's definitely something you kind of just like learn over time and figure out. But yeah, I find myself being like, you know what, hold on, and I'll like send her an email. I'll be like sitting next to her, we're like, it's like 10 o'clock at night and we're just like watching TV, and I'll be like, so you know what, never mind, and I'll send her an email. She'll get it in the morning. That actually works really well because I got it off my brain and I didn't talk to her about work. So that's a good tip for her.
I mean, she has to not check her email then, because otherwise she's sitting there being like, I'm right here.
Yeah. Really? Yeah, we're pretty good with emails. We don't really check it too much after like we leave the office, so that's good. Nice. And so yeah, I'll email her stuff, which is pretty funny, or I'll get random emails from her too. So.
Is she just as much of a film nerd as you are, or is that?
Yes.
Yeah. So then it makes it very hard to not talk shop at the dinner table.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, even yesterday we were driving home, and we were talking about the movie we just saw. Why am I
West Side Story.
Thank you. Yes,
I got you.
Late night. So we were like on our way home from watching West Side Story, and she was just like talking about the cinematography the whole time. And I'm like, yeah, but like, did you like it? She's like, yeah, I don't know, like the continuity in that one shot. I'm like, I was like, yeah, you're right, but it was just funny. Yeah.
That's like so many of the conversations that me and Alexia have after a movie. It's like we probably chat about 5 minutes of the plot, and then everything else is just like, man, you remember that one vista? Like that was just like that one shot that was over that hill, and everything was like, wow, it's beautiful. Like that landscape and everything. Like why did they write it that way though? Like they should. It's way too much fun to just do that.
Well, you spend so much time picking it apart because you start thinking, oh, what would I have done? And if you do have the technical expertise to know how to make movies, it's even worse because you're sitting there I'll do this as an editor, just being like, that was not a good cut. What would they think? And half the time I'm trying to think, okay, was that just a bad editor, or was that a producer who thought they knew more?
Right.
Who made that choice?
I'm always trying to figure out what was second unit and what was principal photography.
Yeah.
Can you define that for the non-film nerds?
Oh yeah. So principal photography is basically when you have your main production, you have like your main A-lister cast members and your whole big crew. That's principal photography. You're getting them like to deliver lines and all that stuff. Second unit is all the insert shots and all the stuff that doesn't necessarily have your lead actors in it. And sometimes they'll go as far as to like do like a lookalike and get shots of that person and like, oh, they pick up the phone, and you get like a shot of them picking up the phone and stuff. That wasn't actually like Brad Pitt. It was a lookalike or a hand model, So I'm always trying to be like, oh, that was a different day. Oh, he wasn't actually there that day. Yeah.
That can get as extreme as action scenes too. Like if you have an actor who's like you're not very good at those action scenes, you're gonna spend a completely different day anyways shooting an action scene, because they like multiple days actually. It just takes a very long time to shoot an action scene. I don't think a lot of people realize that like there's so much coordination that goes into it.
Yeah, even for Plunder Quest, it was kind of funny. So the moped sequence in the very beginning is actually comprised of like 3 different things. The first one is it's actually my friend who's like he's a stunt driver for this, and so he actually like drove the moped and like did all the crazy stuff, and he's like cool, really good. And so we had him do all of that, and then we actually had our lead actor Jake do the other half of the moped driving, because he's like licensed motorcycle driver, and so he actually like did some of the driving too. So between the two of them, and then some of the close-ups, we actually had him standing in the street like going like this, pretending to be on and then we would like shoot from the ground and like shake the camera. And so we just like spliced it all together, and it was great. It's like you can't tell which one's Jake, which one's our stunt driver, which one's like not moving. It's a lot going on.
I won't lie, I couldn't tell.
Sweet.
Watching all that, I'm now thinking like, oh man, I need to go back and actually watch that and be like, oh yeah, that's 2 different people. Sweet.
That's great. Yeah, Oliver, he's great. He's a great friend, and he did some stunt driving for us. So
shout out to Oliver.
Shout out to Oliver. I was gonna say, should we just roll the credits for your movie?
Let's roll that credits right here. Shout out to Oliver.
Shout out to Massimo again.
Massimo. Yeah.
Oh
nice.
Man.
Jake, if you're listening, I love you.
Jake better be listening. If he's not, shame on you.
If he's not, what is he doing?
What is he doing
with his
You
life?
call yourself a friend. No, I'm just kidding, Jake. We love you too.
Actually, I do have a question, because the Plunder Quest was your first feature film, and then Lily Darling is Stephanie's first feature film.
Yeah, that's correct.
I mean, what is that feeling that both, like at least the both of you, or the experience that both of you have talked about with just making your first feature film and going through the motions of excitement or dread or whatever those feelings are through the process, because you both shepherded each other through both of your first features.
Yeah, it's been really, really cool. It's been this really cool experience to kind of walk through the first big feature together, like Plunder Quest, and then like I feel like we both learned a lot on that movie, and it's this cool thing when we're both kind of like, I learned a lot as a director on her movie too, you know what I mean? And so it's just like always a learning experience for us both. It's kind of like this iron sharpens iron thing, where like we're just like both, sharpening each other and learning and kind of, being there for each other and giving each other like tips and tricks. It's really cool. It's kind of like this really cool thing. So yeah, but I was like so proud of her when she was directing her first movie. I was the producer. I was in Video Village watching. I was like, oh, this is so cool. so what a cool moment. Yeah.
So
it's, again, very cute.
So cute. Well, Kalani, where can everybody find you if they want to learn more about everything that you and Stephanie are doing and learn more about the magicalness that comes from Pure Magic?
Yeah, well, you can find Pure Magic Pictures on Instagram at Pure Magic Pictures. We post all of our updates and stuff there. You can find me on Instagram at Kalani Hubbard. You can watch Plunder Quest, the adventure movie, Lily Darling, Good Magical Morning, View and Chew, and all the other fun stuff that we create on puremagicpictures.com. You can stream it, or you can download the app. We have an app for iPhone, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick. Basically, where there is apps, you will probably find us. and you can like go through there and watch it that way too. So we're your friendly mom and pop movie shop, as we call ourselves. So
take a look at the info section below, and you can find a link to download Pure Magic Pictures. Download the app, go watch it. All their content is fun. It's entertaining. It's lighthearted, and you're going to leave with a smile.
Also, please watch Plunder Quest 2. Like, if that is
not Plunder Quest 2, Plunder Quest 1.
Yes, Plunder Quest 1, TO.
Please watch it. But Kalani, thank you so much for being here, and very much appreciate this fun conversation.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Can't wait to see what comes from your magical mind.
Thanks, man. It's been so fun being on the show with you guys. You guys are so entertaining and great, and it's been a blast. So thanks for having me.
Shucks, thank you.
Byron, save that clip.
Yes, I'm
save that clip.
Endorsement. That was my endorsement.
Beautiful.
Holy crap, everybody! I felt that in my bones. I felt that in
my heart.
Yeah, my heart. Kalani, I love him so much. He is just
beautiful, man.
Oh, he's just so happy. That smile too.
I mean, he's passionate about what he does. He's passionate about his work. He's passionate about making things with people and his wife, which is adorable. Yes. I mentioned it. I legit think it's adorable. And you want to know what?
Adorable.
I love the thought process of having your own platform and being the indie band mentality of you're going up against the Taylor Swifts, the Strokes.
Yes.
I mean, the Strokes are also kind of a big band. Be the garage band you want to be, you know?
I love that mentality so much. So what did you learn from Kalani?
What I learned from Kalani is really if you have a calling, go for it. Kalani has been making videos and he's been doing a lot of this stuff for the longest time because it's been that thing that brings him joy. It brings that element of purpose to him, and he's found a way to incorporate that into what he does every single day, and that is admirable. That is something that I wish I could do, and that's what I'm trying to do with the podcast and everything. And I think it's just incredibly powerful to see someone do that and do it successfully. And he won't stop.
Well, also the fact that he's just not deterred by the roadblocks, and so I think that was something that I was so curious about, just talking to him about what is the importance of creating your own streaming platform. And it's not so much about I want to be controlling of the content. It's I want to genuinely have a home for it. I don't want to have to run through the roadblocks of making something the way that I want to make it, and I'm not gonna compromise on that. And I think that can be so hard when you want to be creative, you want to do things the way that you want to do them, and you have many different voices who are telling you that no, this is how it's supposed to be done, this is what you have to do, you have to follow this structure. And we all know that doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't.
It doesn't. So props to you, to Kalani, for doing your thing and continuing it to do it well. So
absolutely, yes.
But Byron, what did you learn from this episode?
I think I learned a bit about just the practice of compartmentalization. Kalani was talking about how he does that with him and his wife owning a business together, and how do you separate those things. But I can tell the reason that trickles into all other aspects of his business. It's why he can I think part of the reason I think it's easy for him to have the same passion about he was telling us like, oh yeah, no, I'm going to be writing a script for another thing like later tonight, is like clearly he's got some kind of good organization about how do it like, and now I'm going to focus on this. Okay. And that's going to been their time. And now I'm going to focus on that. And it makes you a better storyteller. That's why Plunder Quest was so good. You can see this, you can see the structure, you can see the investment that he put in there. And it all just like, when you learn about the secret sauce of how you do that, you can just see how it translates to all the other things that he does, and they do it well.
They sure do. And if you guys want to take a look at Pure Magic Pictures, look it up. We have all the links in the info. You can also go to puremagicpictures.com to find it, subscribe, watch Plunder Quest, watch Good Magical Morning, and get prepared for Lily Darling and everything there too, because it's gonna be awesome, especially for the inner emo inside me.
You can follow Kalani at Kalani Hubbard on Instagram, and and at Pure Magic Pictures. They take direct requests from their audience for Good Magical Morning and use it on their show. So if you want to be a part of that, reach out to Kalani. I'm sure he'd be very happy to hear from y'all.
Absolutely. And then also for us, everybody, make sure that you follow us on like all the different podcast platforms. Find us again in picture live and see our faces on YouTube at youtube.com, and just search the FillGood and you'll find us. And also make sure we're also streaming on Twitch every so often, and you can find us on twitch.tv/FillGoodGames.
We're doing FillGood Friday. We're doing some game streams. We plan on utilizing Twitch a little bit more to bring on some previous guests and to try to do some creative things where we can with some of them. So if you want some extra conversations or just some like FillGood fun, like that's where we're going to be on a weekly basis.
Exactly. And then also the last thing we want to let you guys know is that this is coming out kind of at a crazy time in the world. And we want you guys to know that you are totally valid in the feelings that you have right now. Things are a little crazy. Things are weird. And it's A-okay for you to take a moment out of the day to recollect yourself. Find that thing that makes you feel good, makes you feel better, just so that you can find some way to cope with what's happening right now.
I think the hardest thing right now is to, like we're, hopefully we are coming out of a pandemic right now. Like we are watching like live on television, like a war that is beginning to take hold, and hopefully like it doesn't go further. And it can be, I feel that we can all shut down sometimes. And it's just so overwhelming. And we're joking about, aren't you sick of living through a historical event? But it's a lot more complex than that joke. So like, please don't stop expressing yourselves and talking to people. Please don't feel like your voice doesn't matter in any of this. And also, like, if you're feeling compelled to do good and support the causes that are going to contribute to making these conflicts, making these things better, do that. Please do that. Don't give up on that.
Just remember, do good, feel good,
get good,
be good, get good. All that good, happy, fun shit, whatever it is. No, everybody, thank you so much for listening, and please stay tuned for episode 2. It's coming out sooner than you think, in about 2 weeks. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll catch you all on
the flip. A flap. A flip. A flap. A flip. Flip. Wait, hold on. What is the opposite of flipping and flopping?
Flopping and flipping?
Maybe, or is it like dripping and dropping?
I mean, I'm thinking for the Pacific Northwest.
I'm thinking like philosophically
the
here.
Drip and a drop. Other than
no,
that,
it
flipping
sounds
and
wrong.
flopping, it's like
flip flop. Just flip flop.
It's rolling. It's like rolls and tolls. I don't know.
All right, we're just flip-flop
done.
out of here. We'll figure it out
We're
later.
The Feel Good Podcast, hosted by Mike Osgood and Byron Filler. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at FillGoodPod, FillGoodPod.
You can also find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the flip-flop.